Hello, hey guys. I'm just finding some better connection. Maybe here is good. I'm super excited for today because I'm interviewing one of my most, I was going to say best friends, but we're not really, we are friends, but she's kind of we're kind of partners in business. We have our own businesses, but we've started our journey around the same time and with one of the same mentors a few years ago. And we just connected then, and we've just been kind of supporting each other along the journey. And both of us have had, I would say, pretty great success. And pretty great success. That's not great English. We've been quite successful, and I would definitely say that part of my success is due to having people like Sarah in my life, who are also on the same journey and who are, kind of like we're each other's biggest fans. So I love that. I can see that she wants to join now, so I'm going to invite her in. And if you are joining us, please say hello. I would love to know your name and where you're from. Hey, Sarah.
Hi Freya. I'm well. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. It's so awesome. I love our chats.
I know,
And
it's so nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. And I love that because we have great conversations anyway, but it's so awesome that now we are recording them because there's so much gold. Yes, totally. Who's joined us? Hey, Jack. Awesome to see you here. Hey, Abhishek. I hope I'm saying your name right, from India. Great to see you here.
Hi,
Who
everyone.
else is? Hi, everyone. So if you have a question as we are going through, just pop it in the comments, and I'm not going to interrupt Sarah, but when we have some space or at the end, then I'll jump in and I'll read your questions and your comments because I don't want to interrupt the flow. So I'm super excited, as I was saying, Sarah, before you jumped on, to have you on here because you have been so significant in my own growth and in my journey in business. And also, it's not, the way that we do business, it's not about business. It's there's no separation between life and business with us. We make it all art, and our relationships are involved, love is involved, money is involved, all of it is mixed in together, but at the same time, we're there supporting each other to remind each other to have space, that these things are not our identity. They don't make us worthy or unworthy based on the results that we have, but that it's fun and that it's play. And that's one thing I see coming through you so often is this this energy of that it's all play, that it's all fun. If you haven't, by the way, if you haven't met Sarah before, go and check out her Instagram because her latest post was amazing. Sarah is also a rapper, and she makes these epic raps. Sarah you've even done a video clip before too, right?
Yeah, I've been slowly doing little rap experiments, and I finally birthed my first affirmation rap video, a little dance video last week, which has just been something that I've been feeling called to do for a really long time, and it finally happened last week, and everyone's like, this is amazing, write more affirmation raps about money and having good relationships with money and business strategy and rap form, essentially, is what I'm creating.
So cool. Because actually, why do we need to, we have the way we consume content and the way we create content, it's kind of rigid, it's like, oh, we talk or we write. And of course, there are all these other mediums, and as artists, how beautiful to be able to play with these other mediums, and creating a rap is, it brings it back to, it gets to be so fun. And this is kind of what we're talking about today is around owning your story and taking responsibility for it. And part of that is like, it kind of sounds serious, but actually it's not at all. Part of that, by owning your, like where you are right now, taking responsibility for everything that's happened in your life, taking responsibility for all those stories, all the programs and everything that you have, is actually really liberating. It's really, really liberating. And it allows the space to then have that play and have that fun, because we're not so caught up in trying to control the outside world or trying to fix things or trying to create objectives, because we remember, oh yeah, I get to take responsibility. And the greatest way to take responsibility is to be present and to be clear and to be clean and to play and to be in collaboration with the universe. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. Sarah, you're an amazing writer. That's your background is as a writer, and you had quite a successful copywriting business as well before you started doing coaching. And now you're doing coaching, and you do a lot around money mindset as well, and how to align creating stories with making money.
Yeah, thank you, Freya. And I think, like, I'm obviously so grateful to have you as like a business friend in my WhatsApp corner. Even though we've never met in real life, I feel like I'm so connected to you on the other side of the world. And we definitely both resonate with that way of just like keeping it really simple and having as much freedom as possible in the way that we're doing things, right? And that's really what like owning your story is about. It's like, it's simple, right? Because nobody knows ourselves better than we do. And just be yourself, right? Like just be yourself and everything will unfold for you. And it's like, it's very simple in theory, but the truth is, as you know, in the work that you do with money mindset, like there's a lot of deconditioning that we have to do in order to be ourselves, right? Like we kind of grow up with all of this conditioning piled on top of us. And sometimes it's difficult to just be ourselves. Sometimes there's fear involved. Sometimes there's a lot of self-judgment. Sometimes we just don't believe that it could be that simple and that it could be that easy and it could be that fun. And so that's really the work that I do. It's like guiding my clients back to their stories, because your story is your gold, right? Like who you are as an individual is where you unlock your greatest power and your greatest contribution and your ability to access the most wealth in the most abundant and fun and aligned ways. Because I think, so many of us grew up thinking like we had to try really hard and we had to be someone that we're not in order to succeed and in order to make money. We have to be like people who are already making money, right? So if you come from a different type of person than like the wealthy role models that were around you as you were growing up, we grow up thinking like, well, I have to change in order to like succeed or in order to create higher levels of wealth or abundance. And as we're seeing now with like the wonder of the internet, like that's simply not true. There's like a million different ways you can create wealth, and there's a million different ways you can make an impact. There's a million different ways you can reach people with whatever work you're doing, with whatever message you have to share. So you get to pick the ways that are most accessible to you, most fun for you, and fit you, who you are as a unique individual. And I was just talking about my clients about this today, in like the importance of being yourself, like particularly now, right? When everybody's online, everybody's selling something, and there's a lot of like step-by-step strategies and like, things that have worked for other people, which is great, but it doesn't work when everyone's doing the same thing, right? It just becomes a lot of noise and you don't really stand out. You don't really get to reach the people who would actually really benefit from working with you. And like it's so powerful and it's so magical when you just give yourself permission to be yourself and to say what you really feel, to talk about what you genuinely want to talk about, and do it in the way that is most natural to you. Because what starts to happen is you naturally then start to attract people who just resonate with you on so many levels, right? Like they can't resonate with you if you're not really being yourself, if you're trying to be like somebody else. And what happens is, yes, strategically share your story in a way that specifically attracts the type of people that you want to work with. Oh, little puppy, so cute. But what I have found as well is like, there are so many parts of my story that I don't share on the internet, yet I will attract clients that like really needed to learn from me specifically because of that aspect of my story. And you know, and patterns have really started to show up, and it just goes to show the power of really being in alignment with your message, really being truthful about who you are, really embodying and connecting to who you are at the core, and then sharing that in an authentic way, in a real way, and you know, not putting on all the filters and not like dimming yourself or trying to fit into a certain picture of who you think you should be, or limiting what you're saying because of fear of judgment, because then your people can find you, and they're always going to be the people who most resonate with whatever it is that you're sharing. They're going to be fun for you to work with, because you need to be yourself to please these people. Just you being you is enough, is exactly what they need. And they'll become your biggest cheerleaders, and then it just becomes, you know, your business and your impact, and your message just starts to snowball, and it just gets easy, right, Freya? You know this. You're an embodiment of
Right,
this.
but totally. And what I would love to do with you, Sarah, is there are three things that have come up in what you're saying. And the first one is who you are, you know, who you really are. And you touched on this briefly as, yeah, but we have so many programs running that are actually covering who we really are. And, you know, the other thing is, you know, on a spiritual level, we'll never know who we are. You know, we have
Right.
we have access to every infinite possibility inside of us. So of course, you know, and we might decide, oh, we're this and this, but of course this is such a limited frame, you know, where and also if we're deciding who we are in the moment, you know, we're constantly transient. Everything's always moving and shifting. So we're going to be someone different each moment, which this is the first thing, you know, that I personally, you know, I've had many internal conversations with myself about, because many of the experts, branding experts, they say, okay, decide who you are, you know, brand yourself in that way, and then that's who you are. You know, today, tomorrow, the next day, yes, you'll have some evolution, but this is the brand you put forward. I was even listening to an expert yesterday and I love her. I love what she says, but this is the same thing around, you know, having different strategies. But she said, you know, you want to make your social media like a gallery, and I believe this as well. But her way of doing it is, you know, she takes these beautiful photos, and everything's really curated, and everything is really luxurious in the way that she presents it. And I was thinking, oh my God, should I be doing that? Do I need to be doing that in order to be successful? You know, I'm like, my spelling's terrible. I just put whatever up there. I mean, of course it comes from my heart, but I'm not reading over things. I'm posting, like, it's kind of messy. It's kind of chaotic. And you know, then this question, is that who I am? Or am I actually this, could I be this luxurious brand, you know, and have everything really put together? Because we have the ability to do everything, right? So how do we know who we are? How do we know which one to go with?
That's a really great question. And like I think the way to identify, it's a moment by moment decision, right? And like what I'm choosing, who I'm choosing to be, and what I'm choosing to offer in any given moment. And I think one of the areas that entrepreneurs get the most caught up is on those questions of like branding, and like how I'm representing myself, and like what my domain name should be. And it's like, none of that bullshit actually matters. Like when you come down to the simple question of how can I really help people? Like, how can I, with the resources that I have today, help the people that I'm being called to help through the services that I'm being called to offer? And you know, it's different for everybody. Maybe some people having a luxurious brand experience like is a part of the expression of whichever way they're being called to serve people. But for me personally, you know, I have experienced this for myself, where I have bought from somebody specifically because their website was a mess, and like it was super minimal and like really basic and had tons of errors in it, because as somebody who started off as a solopreneur, I'm like, if they can do it without everything having to be perfect, I want to learn from them, right? Like I don't want to I don't have like tens and tens of thousands of dollars to invest in building this business. Like I started from scratch. I started keeping it scrappy. And and I've proven, and the many mentors that I've worked with have proven that, when you stay focused on really what matters, which is getting your message to the people that need it, getting your services to the people who are looking for that transformation, and you just find the path of least resistance way to get it to them. If that's you taking a selfie with no makeup, like with greasy hair, and sharing your message because that's all you had the capacity to create in that day, like it's enough, it's enough. And I think allowing your message to come from the heart and really allowing whatever passion is stirring in you and message that you just have no choice but to share, then it would just like, it would be harder to not share it than to it would be harder to not share it because it's a burning message on your heart that you feel really passionate about sharing. To really trust that and trust your impulses and trust your instincts and really listen to what you care about from one moment to the next, because that's always the thing that's guiding your next strategic business decision. And that's really the way that I work personally for me and for my clients, is like, well, what do I feel excited to offer this month? And just allowing myself to do whatever's fun for me and whatever feels exciting to me, because number one, that's going to be the easiest thing to sell, because you'll be the most excited about it. And to trust, when I look back, I can see the ways in which I was evolving as a mentor, as a teacher, as a woman in business, and every step that I took along the way has given me everything that I've needed to be here today. And I could never have strategized that, so it's really like a moment by moment, like allowing ourselves to evolve and really trusting our desires, because they're always pointing us to exactly what we're meant to be doing.
Of course. And to go even a little deeper in this for a moment, is that that there is a catalyst to this. Trusting, going moment by moment to what you're being turned on to do, because this is the way that I live my life. However, if you are not connected with yourself, if you feel like, oh, my fear is super strong right now, or I'm feeling really not confident right now, your turn on might be covered by the stories around fear that are keeping you small. And it might tell you, so what I've seen, in some of my clients who, let's say they want to do a program, and then they'll be excited about this program. They'll put it together and then they'll start selling it. They won't get anyone signing up in the first few days or the first few weeks. And then they decide, oh no, I'm not turned on to do this anymore. No. This is where the caveat is. This is where it's really about having this solidness within yourself. And this is where it comes down to having done the work and continuing to do the work, and to really be prepared to look at this stuff that you have going on and these programs, and being able to differentiate between, where am I pulling myself back because I'm afraid that I'm not going to get the results. So then I say, oh no, I'm not excited to do this anymore. Because then you make it about the results and you put pressure on the art that you're doing. And when you put pressure on the art that you're doing, it no longer has the space to be art. And then you start to do it just for the outcome. And when you do that, the turn on goes. And so of course, this then would make sense. So if you're doing things moment by moment, you've got to be sure that you are courageous enough to continue to look at yourself every single day, every moment, to fall in love with your art every moment, to let go of the objectives, to let go of the results, and to stick to it. Because what I see is, this idea of being feminine in the way we create, which is beautiful. We all have masculine and feminine. I think this is very misunderstood. But anyway, to have this fluidity in the way we create, which is beautiful, because there's no pushing, there's no hustling. But if you don't have the dedication and the commitment to your art, and you're flip-flopping all over the place, thinking that that's your turn on, you know, to do this and then to not do this, and then I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know my purpose is, I don't know my message is, like, then you're going to be lost. And then this is when you start to reach out to these people, these mentors, these coaches, these business experts that are all about the strategy. And then you'll do this program that teaches you how to grow your audience, or this program that teaches you, you know, something really specific, like how to build your business. And it's all based on funnels, and it's based on strategy, and it's based on looking in the niche in the market, and it's based on looking outside of yourself. Then you'll start doing this. I know, I'm talking from my own experience. Then you'll start doing
Yeah.
Midway through, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And then you're pulling your hair out, you know, and you're like, what am I doing? And then you remember, oh yeah, the art, the turn on. I go back to that. And maybe it takes some time to really come back and trust yourself. And of course, the other way works as well. You know, doing the strategy and looking for the niche in the market, people have made a lot of money from that. But we're not about making money. That's just a byproduct. We're about being artists, and this is a different way to live. But to be an artist, you have to be committed. There is Somerset Maugham, a great writer from the early 1900s. He said, someone asked him, how does he get inspired? And he said that, well, he gets inspired from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And that's what it's about as well, right? Is like being focused, like even though you're following the turn on and doing what you desire in each moment, to be focused and to be consistent, not necessarily how it looks on the outside world, but be consistent with checking in with yourself internally and checking in with your own internal turn on, and being courageous enough to actually think, am I just flaking out here? You know, because I'm afraid that I'm not going to get the results. And so then I just don't even try, and I just give up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so good. And this is why it's so powerful to come back to our story, because when we're in those moments of desire, right, where we're like, this is what I want to do, like this is what I want to offer people, these are the people that I want to help, this is the transformation that I want to create, this is the impact that really inspires me and lights me up. Actually, when we connect that to our story, like all of the puzzle pieces line up, right? There's a reason why we're passionate about what we're passionate about. And when we look at the turning points in our own life that led us to step into where we are now, like those are the pieces that fit, and those are the pieces that connect. And so this is how I work with myself and with my clients. It's like whenever you get that flash of inspiration, like you can make your action plan, your inspired action plan, in like 5 minutes, right? Like, this is what I'm going to offer, this is how it's going to go, these are the dates, and like lock it in that moment of inspiration, and then decide, like, this is the plan, I'm following through on it, I trust the way that I feel right now, I trust my inspiration. And yes, it doesn't mean it's going to be like you know, super fun all the way there. Like, there'll be ups and downs, you'll come up against yourself, you'll come up against challenges, you'll, you know, be tested against your commitment, but you only fail if you give up. And that's why it's so powerful to come back to your story over and over again, because when we get lost, when we're not sure what's inspiring us, when those stories come up and they get in the way. And that's exactly how I design my program, Tell Stories That Sell, which is, it's strategy. It's like how to get clear on the story that is already inside of you, that will speak to the people who will be best served by your work, but in a way that it's like about coming back to clarity. It's about coming back to your intuition and your truth, because that doesn't go away. Like, your desires don't go away. And, you know, every time I walk my clients through the fears that are coming up, like, oh, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? And like really going there and being like, okay, cool, like, you'll be rejected by everybody, you'll end up completely broke, you'll end up on the street, like maybe people will hunt you down and want to kill you, like worst case scenario, like lizard brain fear stories. When you get to the bottom of it, it's like, okay, cool, then what would you do? And whenever we get there, with every single person, we always realize, like, our desires aren't going to go away. Like, it doesn't matter how much you like rationalize them, how much you resent them, how much you don't want them to be there and you wish there was a more convenient desire for you. Your desires don't go away. They are a part of you, and they are, you know, a calling to be expressed through you. And You can either be in the discomfort of resisting your desire, or you can be in the discomfort of the growth that's required to birth your desire. And I think just really connecting to that truth, and connecting to the truth of who we are, and really acknowledging of the gold that has come through the journey that we've walked, through the experience that we've lived. You know, that it always has the power to reconnect us to our passion for the work that we're doing. And that's a choice, and that's a practice that we get to choose to tap into every single day, which is how you just get lit up by your work, and it always gets to be fun, right?
Yeah, totally. So what, and oh my God, there's so much great stuff here. We could talk for so long, but what I do want to touch on is, you know, this dark night of the soul, and you know, these times in our life where it felt like we were broken. We were broken, and we were not able to get up. And you know, what is, so, because these, you know, in my experience, they create the most incredible stories, and we can create beliefs from that because we're still here. You know, we put ourselves back together. And I read something beautiful the other day. It was something like, you know, we get broken into a million pieces, and then we get put back together the way that we actually are meant to be put back. The way we're meant to be put together. Amazing. You know, and Rumi says, you know, that you break your heart open. It's beautiful. Maybe someone can comment if they know.
It's like where you something about where you break is where the light comes in.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. And I think this is so beautiful. It's so true. But then also in saying that, you know, in my experience, you know, do you want to make your social media platform a place where you have therapy? You know, and so this is something that I've been switching back and forth from, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Is when I have these moments of this, you know, the dark night of the soul, it actually doesn't feel great for me to share like the details of it until after the fact, until I have come through it and I have, oh yeah, these are the lessons that I learned. This is what I do when I'm feeling like I'm gonna break, or feeling like I am in pieces. This is what I do. And because otherwise it kind of feels like a dumping ground, you know. It can really feel like that for me, unless of course I make it into art. You know, if I'm making it into poetry, or I'm making it into, you know, that I don't share any of that online. But you know, that's how I deal with it myself, actually, is when I have these moments, which is very, they don't happen often anymore, because I'm pretty I catch it quickly. You know, if something's in my field that's not in alignment, I let it go pretty quickly. But of course, love, you know, romantic love, when somebody dies, I mean, you know, you cannot protect yourself from this, and it's not even a protection thing, you know. But yeah, in these moments, what is your idea about sharing a story that doesn't feel finished yet? And of course, we're not finished, but these little pockets of stories where there's a beginning. This is where I was when I didn't know. This is then what happened when I felt like I was crumbling, and then this is the lesson I learned, or not even about learning a lesson. This is how I feel more alive now. You know, because sometimes there is no lesson. Sometimes it's just about living life. Sometimes there is nothing behind it. It's just like, it's okay. You're okay. It's all okay. So where do you think you need the whole picture before you start to share this?
So there's a million different reasons why we share content, right? There's always different intentions behind why we create what we create. And I think, you know, if you're looking to make money and you're looking to serve your audience, like it's having a very clear intention around the ways that you're serving them, and making sure that that aligns with, you know, the overall impact and mission that you are feeling particularly called to create, in terms of in terms of really helping people to understand how you can help them. I feel like that's of the highest service with our content, right? Is helping our audience to very clearly understand how they can create the transformation that they're seeking, that we can support them through. And with regard to like going through something, I think every single day there's teachable moments that we can share, right? And I think as long as we're sharing from an empowered perspective of how we're leading ourselves through something, like we don't need to give everybody all the details, but we can share, like, today I was feeling, you know, XYZ, and you know, I came up against these challenges, and this is how I shifted, this is how I supported myself, this is how I showed up for myself. You know, if that's in alignment with the work that you do and the way that you support people, there are a million examples every day of how we can, you know, tell a story that demonstrates our leadership, that uplifts the people who are reading a content who somebody might need to hear, right? So if we're feeling inspired to share that, and we feel like we're sharing it from an empowered perspective of us leading ourselves, rather than like, I'm just super stuck and like in a negative space right now and like venting, I think that's really valuable. And I think it's such an intuitive process too, right? And yeah, I think you know when it's the right time to share something. If you, you know, if you feel like for me, if it's something super emotionally charging or something particularly difficult that I've been through, I know the right time for me to share that is when I've worked through enough of my triggers that I can kind of be with that story without being really triggered, and kind of like caught up in my own emotions around it, and can kind of see it from a higher perspective of like the way that it served me, rather than like how much of a struggle it has been or is being for me. And then and if I'm feeling really guided to share it, you know, if it keeps coming up, if I keep feeling inspired to talk about this thing, then I trust that, and I'll share it. So it's so personal, and there's no right or wrong answer, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it really depends on the type of content that you want to be sharing with people.
And the way that I do this is, you know, I really trust that the message is the message of whatever it is in the day. I mean, if you've been following me for a while, you will see that I mean, I post a lot about finance and money, but sometimes that's not what I get called to post because actually I don't give a fuck about money or finance. It's just something that I learned, and I was in the industry for so long, and I feel like I can't help but share this stuff because I feel like I know it. And you know, we spoke before about desire, and there are two different types of desires. And I heard something the other day, and it was so great. It said, ambition is desire frozen. And I love this. And there is this desire, you know, where it's kind of this immature desire of wanting to be someone, wanting to be something, wanting to change the world, which of course can sound mature, but it's not really. It's kind of this like, you know, to be worthy, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe even, you know, goes to like material things, and there is this type of desire, and then there is this desire that is a calling. And it is so strong, it actually takes courage not to do it, because it's just pulls you. And it's like, and for me, it's around money, like, and finance. Am I still talking about this? You know, Jesus Christ, like, I'm so over talking about this. You know, it's not something that even, I mean, I get lit up by what it means for people, because I can see people are on this, this hamster wheel, you know, doing things just for money, and they're trading their life for money. And so it's not, what I teach is not even about money, making money. It is about that, but it's about showing people, hey, you can do this. And that means you can get off the hamster wheel. So then you can go out and create your art. So then you can go out and be free. So then you can, and of course you can do those things without the money, but it makes it a lot easier for the mind to then be like, oh yeah, okay, I have my finances and my money stuff sorted out. I've got my investments sorted out. Then they feel like, okay, now I can do it. So that's why I share this message. It's not because I have this desire in terms of this ambition to share it. I don't have that. Otherwise, I would have continued to work in finance, and I was getting, you know, paid quite a lot of money. I was working in really like with some of the world's most prestigious fund managers, and I could have just stayed in there. But it's not about that. It's that I don't want to do that. but I still write about it. I still make programs about it because it comes through me, and I think, oh my God, I can't even think about anything else right now because this is so strong. And so this is a different thing, you know, it's this, you have a calling, and let that message be the message. And maybe it's not even a message you're sharing with other people. Maybe it's you wake up and you have a calling to paint a picture of a bluebird or whatever it is, you know. And so you just, okay, I do it. And to trust this inner guidance, and that it leads you to exactly where you're meant to go, which is nowhere at all, because there's no peak, you know, there's no end. But so why not enjoy, you know, enjoy the moment of life right now, because that's all there is. There is no future, there is no past. The past that we think we've had, it only exists because of the present moment, because we're only allowing the past to exist inside of us with our stories, right? So the past doesn't even exist. It only exists in the present moment based on what we are creating by our mind, by our own stories. So yeah, create the stories that are going to serve you. Make your pain, the dark night of the soul, make it into art. Like, I mean, you don't have to do these things, but it makes life more fun. And then you can be like you, Sarah, and you are rapping and you're having fun and you're playing, you know, like having this, it's not childish, but it's childlike way of meeting life. And how beautiful is this? It's captivating. And then of course, then people want to work with you, because they look at you and they think, oh wow, this woman has amazing energy. Like, I don't even really know what she's selling, and it's not even important. I just want to buy it because I want to be around her. And this is how money comes. It just becomes a byproduct of the energy that we have, and if we're in the energy of being present, whether that's being playful, you know, I have this persona that's kind of bitchy, and you know, and it's kind of like dominating, and she's got the whip, and I've actually created a character out of her, and I will play with her sometimes, but you know, to whatever that energy is, to own it, to own this story, to own this part of you, this facet, because like we said at the start, you know, when you're your authentic self. The thing is, we are so dynamic, everything is possible inside of us. So which part, and then people get confused, well, who am I? Which part of me? And then it comes back, you know, the turn on. What are you being turned on to show right now? What part of you? And not from a place of this is how I should be, but from a place of this childlike nature that you have, and you show so well, Sarah, of this playing, you know, and this joy. And it just flows through you, you know, in your photos, in everything. You just feel it in everything you do. And it's so magnetizing, it's so captivating, it's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Freya. Right. And that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, you know, on one side of things, there's a million different things that we can do. And on the other side of things, there's what we're feeling called to do. Right. And so, but I still think whatever it is you're feeling called to do, there's still like a number of different expressions and ways that you can go about fulfilling that calling. And you get to do it the fun way, or you get to do it the way where you make it really hard for yourself. And you know, I've definitely experienced both ways. Like, I've definitely been there when it comes to overcomplicating, when it comes to stressing and doubting myself, and you know, putting so much pressure on myself. And that's where like the owning your internal story about yourself and what's possible for you, and what you believe is possible in the world comes, right? And that's really the story that you get to be super creative with. Like you say, like, we live in this bendy reality that like doesn't even really exist, so you might as well write an interesting story for yourself, and you know, design the way that you want it to go, because we literally do have like limitless possibilities if we allow ourselves to go there, if we allow ourselves to play with our beliefs and our belief systems. And I love, you know, it's like we get to do it whatever way we want, we get to make up the rules, and I love that you're doing that too.
Or around beliefs, you said something about stories and feelings, and I think, you know, this is where people can, and kind of what I was saying before as well, people flip-flopping between what they're doing, and they feel like, oh, I don't feel like this anymore, oh, I feel like this, or I feel like that. I don't trust my feelings. No way. You know, they are so that there's I can catch them off somebody else. Someone walks in the room and I can feel what they're feeling. I don't trust my feelings. And so this is where it is so important, to have your story down, because your story is, in this very transient world, like we spoke about, your story is kind of something you can hold on to, and it's has direction, it has some focus, and of course, we can drop it and then choose another one. But to consciously choose and create the stories, the beliefs, will then mean that we have our feet firmly planted on the ground when we're feeling all these different things. And so then we are, like you said, we decide, this is what I do, this is my story, this is just the story that I decide on. It doesn't matter if I'm feeling grief, it doesn't matter if I'm feeling frustrated, it doesn't matter if I'm feeling angry, because I know that this comes and goes, and my feelings don't get to dictate how I live my life. I still feel my feelings, I still allow them to be there, but I have space between them, and I have something much more solid, in this remembering of who I want to be, or not even who I want to be, who I know. Also, so it's semantics, because I was going to say who I know that I am, and of course, like we said, we're everything, and we can be anything we want. But this turn on to who we know that we are, in terms of the potential we want to fulfill, because we can fulfill any potential. But you need to have a belief, you need to have your stories in place in order to bring that to fruition. Otherwise, it's going to be months, years, decades, a life down the track. And you're going to be on your deathbed thinking, shit, I lived a half-filled life. The days that I lived, because how you live your day is how you live your life. How you live this moment is how you live your life. And you lived your life waiting to have the things, waiting to have the money, waiting to retire, waiting to have freedom in order to do what you wanted to do. More importantly, in order to be who you wanted to be, you thought you needed all those other things. And now you're on your deathbed and you think, oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Time's up.
Right.
Things. I wasn't the person. I didn't step into the person because I didn't decide. I didn't consciously choose. Instead, I just let the programs run, and I let life kind of just swim me down the tide. And I'm not talking about the choice where you're co-collaborating with life, because we're the same. We're co-collaborating with the universe, where we are, where we allow the unimaginable to happen. What I'm talking about is this first level that we are born into, where we are programmed, this is how we need to be, this is how we need to look, this is how we need to show up to work, this is how, this is what a worthy person looks like. A woman needs to be beautiful, she needs to be intelligent, she needs to be precise, but she can't talk too much, she needs whatever, all these fucking things. And that's what I'm talking about, the shoulds, the programs, and then you end up living this life that you didn't even choose, and you think, how the fuck?
Right, exactly. And I think, like you say, it all comes down to a choice. Like, it's a choice. Like, what am I choosing today? And sometimes, yeah, we don't feel like following up on the thing that we decided on yesterday, but we can always choose to take the actions that get us back into a place of inspiration. Like that, we can always shift our perspective. We can always shift the story that we're telling ourselves. We can always shift the actions that we take to support ourselves, to make it easy for us to have fun, and to make it easy for us to stay committed to following our inspiration. And like you say, that's a moment by moment choice, like to live an inspired life or to live a life in fear, and choosing not to own our power to actually influence the course of our day and the course of our weeks and the course of our months. And it's a choice whether or not we're enjoying it. There's always a million reasons why we could not be enjoying our life today. There's always tons of problems, and our mind has a negativity bias, right? And our culture, we what is it called, like commiserate to consolidate. It's like the easiest way, the lazy way to connect to other people is to complain. And it's a choice to opt into that, or it's a choice to be like, no, I'm going to choose a different story, I'm going to choose a different focus, and I'm going to choose to embody the type of person I want to feel like I am, and just to see where that adventure can take me, you know, and like give it a try.
Yes, amazing. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Do you want to share what you've got going on right now and where people can find you?
Thank you so much for having me. Yep, you can find me at withsarahmac.com. I have Tell Stories That Sell is my 8-week course that specifically teaches you how to pull out the parts of your story that, first of all, what to sell of all of the things that would be fun for you to sell, how to decide on what that offer is, how to talk about it in a way that makes it really easy to sell it, how to, you know, do the mindset stuff, the money mindset stuff, and live a life of fun and freedom with, you know, your dream schedule, and energy management and all of that fun stuff. And I have a bunch of other programs, a mastermind, one-on-one. I have tons of content on YouTube, and you can access everything through my Instagram with Sarah Mac. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, Sarah. And like I said before, if you haven't seen Sarah before, go to her page and check out her latest rap. It's super cool. It made me laugh.
There will definitely be more coming. So if you have a request for something you want to be positive brainwashed about around money and creative and freedom and business strategy, just send me a message and I'll make you an affirmation rap just for you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I just want to, anyone have any questions?
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Someone asked, hi, can you call me?
Oh, is that for me or Freya? Is that one of your friends?
No, not my friend. That's so funny. I mean, I like, you know, that they're asking for what they want.
Yeah, keep asking. One day you might get it.
Courage. What else? The power of choice. Yes. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, Sarah.
Amazing. Have an amazing day. Thanks, Freya. Bye, everyone.